Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Winston. Let's start first from home here in Nigeria, Winston. And looking at the amount of cases now, we're seeing this more like a geometric spread. I remember just when we recorded the index case on the 1st of February, it was just one case then. At the end of March, we had 139 cases. Now we're just somewhere towards the end of April, and we're seeing 627. The sequence, it kind of looks like a geometric spread already here. Winston, what's your take on that?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, again, all those numbers we see, we always have to adjust for how many tests have actually been done. To say you have only, when we had only one, the question we should have been asking is how many people were tested. So we should expect to continue to see significant growth in these numbers until we get to a certain level of percentage of the population or percentage of the population at risk being tested. Then we can start to, then hopefully we'll see a leveling off and possibly a drop in that, but I think we're significant ways away from that.
All right, but what do you make of the confidence we're seeing from Ghana now? They've tested over 68,000 cases already, with just about over 1,000 cases in the country, and now they're calling, they're lifting the lockdown. What do you make of that move?
Well, we have to. The question, I guess, hopefully their decisions are based on looking at the data that they have. Now, there's nobody that's going to test 100% of their population before they take a decision. What they've probably done, and I'm hoping, is that they've tested strategically so that they have a significant sample size. And based on that sample size, they can see that they are no longer seeing a growth. They are no longer seeing a growth. I am.
All right, but looking at how the kind of fiscal and monetary response we've seen from the continent so far, looking at Nigeria and Ghana specifically, what would you make? We've seen Ghana cut rates, but Nigeria, we didn't cut our rates there. But even on the fiscal side, we've seen Nigeria is trying to get some borrowing from from multilateral lenders, while Ghana just received is on the verge of receiving about $1 billion from the IMF.
Well, that's one thing. We have all the countries of sub-Saharan Africa and Africa as a whole. We're going to have major fiscal issues that we need to deal with. But the most important part is that all these borrowings that are being done now are taken to solve these problems. Because if we do not get the health, if we do not get this virus under control, the effects on all these economies will be long running. So the only thing we can hope is it is important that we go out and get the funds we need, not just to plug the fiscal gap of today, but also to fund the necessary healthcare infrastructure that we need to support our economies and allow our economies to open back to the world. Because here's the one thing that everybody should understand. At the end of all this, we're not just going to go back to life as usual. As countries start to open up their borders, there will be some level of discrimination to places where they don't think that the virus has been kept in check, because nobody wants a second wave of this thing to come into their countries. So until all African countries can check off that box, business as usual will not restart, and we will continue to suffer that.
Yeah, Winston, this was supposed to be the stellar year for the inter-Africa trade with the AfCFTA, which was supposed to have come on board later in this year. But looking at how things are going, we're hearing the IMF is, urging African countries to still remain committed to this. How realistic is this at this time?
In all honesty, all bets are out the window right now, because what we are going through is a once hopefully in a lifetime event. I don't think there's anybody out there that has ever had to manage through this kind of event. Interestingly enough, at least, unfortunately, we had to go through the Ebola crisis. So there are some things that we've put in place. But the one thing is, once we get over this hump, I think most things will start to get back on track. I think the other thing that the coronavirus has brought out is that we cannot continue to have significantly long supply chains that end up in one part of the world. So we should see, if we make the right decisions, we should start to see a lot more onshoring of industries, because if this happens again, we cannot continue to wait to get things out of a place like China that was shut down for about 2-3 months earlier this year.
All right, but looking at how the impact is playing out in the capital markets across board, let's look at Nigeria now. We've seen the impact, come on the equities market. We've even seen FPI flows as well. But then we're seeing the latest move was in the Nigerian Stock Exchange giving listed companies a 60-day extension for their Q1 results. Can you speak to the impact on the capital markets?
Well, the impact on the capital market is clear because nobody knows how to value anything anymore. We don't know what level of risk any particular person is carrying. We don't know, there is no way for you to forecast what kind of revenues any of the businesses are getting. And at the end of the day, the first thing we're going to see is the first thing that is going to come out is the quality of management before we even start to see the quality of the markets that they're in. So right now, the expectation is, well, let's just say the numbers, I would take all the numbers I see on the stock exchange with a pinch of salt. This is not the time to be going out looking for deep value. I think this is the time to stay with highly proven names, and we will not see any foreign investors coming in until there's clarity on how we move forward. Because on every single level, things are in complete flux. WTI oil just dropped 20+% today. So we're seeing prices we haven't seen in 21 years, which is sub $15. Brent crude is also, I think, is going down about 4% today. And all those things will flow into and all across the commodities spectrum, all those prices are dropping because there's complete uncertainty of continued demand. So when you look at all these things, this is not the time to be making any moves, and I wouldn't expect anybody to make any large moves into our markets for a significant amount of time.